let's just make a decent looking map. So I'll add the house here and one stop sign warning the users, and I'll just put a booth, lectern, the reason why I've made it to use WASD because if we press up and down to move around, you can see the scroll pane actually moves down as well. And if we scroll, well, when we scroll on the scroll pane itself, if we scroll on nothing whatsoever, it will scroll, but if we hover a button and scroll, it will scroll until we lose focus of the button. So what I usually do is put a slight background under, so that we can scroll through the entire thing without any problems. So we have, let's count the objects. We have one house, a stop sign, a booth, and a lectern. So let's save this. Let's go back to menu, editor. So we have it here, and if we click, it loads it up. Our house, stop sign, booth, and lectern. So if we go back in Bob, this is how Bob looks. This is how the first map looks, and this is how our test looks. So we can make other things, add whatever objects we want, just make sure not to add it outside of the map. Don't worry if it sticks out of the map. Once the coordinate value, which is this crosshair thing, once that's not outside the map, then it's fine. So let's just add this outside the map there. It may still load up, but deleting it may not work. So let's press it. Menu, editor. Let's go back and test. This is how our test looks, and this is how our new map looks. So since we've added it out here, it messed up everything else. So you know why I want you not to add it outside the map. So let's just delete that. Or we could have overwritten it. So create map. Even if you add an object out here and then drag it in, it will still mess up the map. So just make sure to always add objects in the map. That looks like a problem for saving, actually. Well, there goes a problem. But let's just ignore that for now, and we'll do one more thing, which is deleting the objects. So go into this save, actually just go into the save, create a box, small box, and this will be, you can make it look fancy or whatever, but we'll use this to delete. So convert it to a symbol, name it object del for object deleter, and give it the instance name of depth for deleter. You may want to put this in a corner where it can't easily be triggered. And then in the code, in the object loop, after we release the object, we want the object to check if it is touching this deleter. If it is touching the deleter, then it will delete. So after we release it, after the stop drag and it gets its new depth, well, before it gets its new depth value, we'll check if root dot follow dot del dot hit test this is equal to true. So if it is touching, then this dot remove movie clip. Else, then this dot new depth and swap depths. And then this function will only call while it's hit testing if we release the object. If we do not release the object, we drag it somewhere away or we move the editor, it would. So we have the barrel, and if we drag it here, it's not removing. If we move this up here, it won't delete. But if we drag it down here and release, it's gone. So that's how we can delete individual objects. Yes. And that's how that works. This episode is getting too well. This is very long, so I might split this into part A and part B, part C. But let's try and fix this last bug, which messes up all our different save files. So I'll pause it, find the problem, and I'll come back. One thing though, we have two scroll panes inside here. This scroll pane is from over here. So click on the scroll pane, properties, but we can't actually swap it, so just drag a new scroll pane here. In properties, give it the instance name list box, and then make it the same width and height as this box. So 204, 302. The X value is 322 and the Y value is 345. So delete this box and put in the Y value here. Then go back into the library and delete this scroll pane. And also this duplicate items folder, delete it. And I have found the bug, the error. So first thing we need to do, since new depth swaps with the Y position, say new depth was 12 and this swaps depth, so it actually swaps variables. So if the object's depth was 3, this will swap depth with 12, so the new depth will become 3 and this depth will become 12. So we don't want to actually change the value of the new depth, so we create a value after the new depth. So new depth is equal to Y, then we say this dot real depth, or this will actually be the old depth, and then we say this dot new depth is equal to this dot old depth. So old depth will be for the person, the object depth will be 3, but the old depth will be 4. So then the new depth will be 4, since it was the old depth, and this will swap depths, making this depth 4 and the new depth 3. But then the old depth will replace it back to 4. So instead of saving the new depth, we save the old depth. So whatever you have, which is equal to this dot y, in the save map, object depth will be equal to that old depth. And then there's one more thing we need to do, is change this from object depth, since in functions they have their variables. So copy object depth and press Ctrl and F, or I think this icon here to find, so it will find object depth and replace it with underscore root dot object depth. Replace all, and it replace everything to root dot object depth. But if we go down into the save, it also changed object mgt data object depth to root. So take out this, because that will make your program unresponsive, and take out the root in the one in the load map as well. Now that we have this, let's make our first test. So test 300, 300, and let's add 3 trees. Don't forget that you need to move it. So save, menu, let's add a final test. And add 3 bushes, or 4, 6. Save that, go back to menu, and now if we test, click the load map to test it, it will load up the 3 trees. We can move this one below here and save it, and if we go back in it, it will load up, except for that tree that's not there. And if we click the final, it should have everything. So that's it for this tutorial. It seems to still have a few bugs, but that's nothing that we can really do about right now. So in the next tutorial, we'll fix that off, or whenever we can. And that's it. So hope that this helped you with something. This is how we implement it, and I will see you guys again in the 19th tutorial, which may be the last. Bye.